Hello, good evening to each and everyone. So by now it's 9:40 in the evening, and today is February 10, 2022. So advance I call that Happy Valentine's Day to all who has Valentine. So for me, chill lang. Okay, now I will be sharing to you, not sharing, I will be explaining to you my assignment. Okay. Ano to? It's about continuity, and I hope you are familiar with this, especially for those on grade 12 student. Okay. So now I'll be sharing this to you. So first I will read to you the instruction. Where is the instruction? Okay. For the following exercises, determine the point or points, if any, at which each function is discontinuous. Classify any discontinuity as jump, removable, infinite, or the other. So as a brief overview of what is continuity function. So nasa yun yung notes ko. When we say where's my notes? Oh my god. When we say discontinuity or continuity, it is for example, we are given a graph, any linear or parabolic or cubic graph, and then we're given a certain interval, or maybe from negative infinity to positive infinity. So sometimes it is in between of that domain from negative infinity and positive infinity. So if this is the domain from here negative infinity to positive infinity. So pag sinasabi natin continuous yung function, so for example, we have somewhat familiar to you like a line. Okay, for example, this type of line. This type of line. Okay, let me put y-axis and x-axis. This type of line which crosses the what we call the point of origin, and a diagonal form, it's actually equal to y is equal to x. Ayan. So this is, for example, an example of continuity, wherein as we trace down, diba, continue siya, wala, as we trace down the trend of the graph here until there, these two rays ba to, or what, parang arrows, it points out that it extend infinitely without bound. So is this line, that's definition of line. So as we trace from, for example, we trace from there to from negative infinity to positive infinity, diba? We're not, it is continuous because we're not jumping, right? We're not jumping. We don't need to, anong term nun? Bakit ako nag-English? Hindi. We don't need to, Tagalog na lang. Hindi kailangan na iangat natin yung point ng ballpen natin to continue to another units. So, continuous siya. But, for example, another one. We're using the same graph here. We're using the same graph. Ayan. For example, here, this is the line. And this is the hole there. A hole. The whole meaning, parang hindi siya kasali. So, as we trace the trend, as we go up here, then before we can, for example, this is 1. Before we can go to positive 2, we have to angat the ball pen and padayon. So, that is what we call discontinuous, right? Discontinuous, okay? So, ang first na akong nag-represent is what we call removable discontinuous. Okay. This one, removable discontinuous. And, okay. Yes. It is removable discontinuous based on the definition. If the limit exists and the limit are real number, then it is discontinuous. For jump discontinuity naman, if you try to solve for the limit and you found out that the left side and the right side of the limit, or the right side limit and the left side limit is not equal to each other, then syempre pag not equal to each other siya, the limit doesn't exist, right? Pero ang katong the left side and the right side niya na mga value of limit is nag-exist pero dili siya the same, and it is real number. Which real number? 1, 2, 3, 4, and countable number yan. And maybe an integer, like there's a positive or negative. So, makaingon ta na that is we call jump continuity. So, for example of jump continuity nga graph, hanapin natin itong jump continuity. Ito. Kita na yan. It is a jump continuity because, so as we trace, for example, we trace the limit of an x. For example, this is 1. Of an x, the limit of a function, this function, without we call this f of x function. As we trace the limit as x approaches 1 from the left side. Okay, from the left side, diri. From the left side going to 1, and we get the answer. For example, this is 1. So say limit of x approaches to 1 from the left side. Means from the left side, we can put negative here, and f of x is equal to 1. And then we would like also to determine the right side of the right side limit. So as x approaches to 1 from the right side, we put positive there of f of x is equal to, so we trace the behavior of the graph as x approaches 1. So this is the 1. We try to approach this 1 on the right side. So from the right side here, we try to approach 1. We get the limit of here maybe this approximation will be 2. So 2. Since our left side and right side is not equal to each other, then we conclude that limit of limit of x approaches to 1 of f of x is or does not exist, because this type of equation is the two-sided. Kibali, the answer of this will be dependent to the answer of the left side and the right side. If this is equal to each other, then the limit exists. Pero pag dili siya equal, that's mean limit doesn't exist. So it is what we call the jump continuity. And for the last one, the infinite discontinuity. And ang limit niya, ang limit niya from the right side and left side is equal to positive infinity or negative infinity. Kung inyo makita, for example, this we have here the number a. For example, a is equal to 1, kumbaga. And as we approach the limit of a or 1 from the right side of the graph, diba? It goes there. There is a vertical asymptote there. It goes there and but never touches, diba? Infinitely but never touches. That's what we call positive infinity. And for the other side, as from the right side, as we approach the number a, the limit going down infinitely, but never touches the 1 value here, x is equal to 1. So that is negative infinity. And kani pa lang, the limit of x approaches negative f of x is equal to here negative infinity, positive infinity, I mean ito. And limit of f of x as it approaches 1 from the right side is equal to negative infinity. Since dili siya equal, then limit doesn't exist or discontinuous gihapon siya. Okay, tama siya ang brief discussion. So in the number 133, okay, ayan na. Ayan o, shucks. So we have given the equation f of x is equal to x over x squared minus x. So the first solution that I have is to determine the restrictions. So, palagyan natin and use the hand. Okay, we're determining the restriction or the possible discontinuity. I select this one, x might not be equal to 0 and x may not be equal to 1. Because as I simplify this one, you have to factor out the denominator here. We can say that x and x minus 1. And actually, in the what we call the in a fractional form, atong kamay ko. In a fractional form kasi, fraction like 1/2. Nasaan yung sinulat ko? Okay, here. Dito ka nakatingin. Fraction like 1/2 or okay, that's defined. But when a number, any number or any variable divided by 0 is undefined. Okay? So, parang kung sa graph pa na siya'y whole. Na whole, kibali. That is discontinuous. So, I selected this one, x must not be equal to 0 because the denominator must not equal to 0. I equate the two. We have x and x minus 1 and x is not equal to 0, and as we what we call that, equate the x minus 1 is equal to 0, it is x is equal to positive 1. So I put there x is not equal to 0 and x is not equal to 1. But I will be verifying that discontinuity later on. So to verify and classify discontinuity, because first is unahin na natin yung for x is equal to 0. So in doing so, we try to determine, ang gagawin natin dito is to determine the limit, and the values of the limit will tell us what type of discontinuity yung at a given point. Diba? Ang selected na point natin dito is 0 and 1. So for x is equal to 0, simply we try to determine the limit of x approaches to 0. So in doing so, here in the first one, di natin na siya pwede, diba, ang even evaluating the limit, we simply try to substitute the value of this x in there in the function or in the equation. However, in this type, since if we try to what we call that, substitute the value of 0, ang mangyayari is that it is undefined because 0 squared is 0 minus 0 is, and then 0 din to sa baba, 0 over 0, and 0 over 0 is undefined. Okay, any number divided by 0 is undefined. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're going to cancel out the parang common nila numerator and denominator. So we have here limit of x approaches 0. The factor of x squared minus x is x times x minus 1, right? So using this, we have common variables in numerator and denominator. So what we're going to do, we're gonna cancel out this one. So the remaining will be 1 over x minus 1. And this is now our main basis in doing so, because as we substitute 0 in this value of x, 1 over 0 minus 1 is equal to negative 1. So nagiging siya, what we call that, makuha na natin yung limit if allow na siya sa equation. And that is equal to negative 1. And that here, I rewrite it 1 as the limit of x over x squared minus x as x approaches to 0 is equal to negative 1. Since the two-sided limit exists, man itong gagamit, right? Okay. We don't need to determine the positive and negative here, because we already determined the value of the limit of the two-sided limit. Okay, this since the two-sided limit exists and it is a real number, means a real number, dili siya positive or negative infinity, then thus the function of x has a removable discontinuity at x is equal to 0. Oh my god. And yes, na-confirm na natin. One point of discontinuity at x is equal to 0. How about for x is equal to 1? Anong gagawin natin? So, the same process with for x is equal to 0 na ginagawa natin kanina. First, we have to simplify the numerator and cancel out the, what we call that, kapareha, right? Or common, what we call that, common variables that can be cancelled, and we can cancel this one, and we leave this, and we have this equation na. And since we already know here, di ba dito pa lang, we already know here, if we try to, this is a simplified form of this, right? As we tried to substitute this one, 1 over x is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, which is undefined, right? Yan pa lang, meron talagang discontinuity na nangyayari dito. Because this is simplified form, wala tayong maibang magawa but to accept that it has a discontinuity here. And now, we're going to determine what type of discontinuity are this. So, since hindi nag-i-exist yung limit ng dalawang side, diba? Kasi as we evaluate this one, this is equal to 1 over 0 at is undefined. So, we're going to determine the behavior of the graph or the behavior of this as it approaches to 1. So, from the left side and the right side. Okay. Okay, as the limit of, we're using the simplified form. As the limit of x approaches 1 from the left side, negative 1 is from the left side of the function 1 over x minus 1, it is equal to negative infinity. So, ang tanong, Miss Unlad, bakit negative infinity yan? Ayan, negative infinity yan. Actually, it is somewhat a rule to us na alam na namin nga. By just looking at that, we already know this is negative infinity. But, there is a, what we call that, calculation for that in, parang proving na the answer is from negative infinity. So, I have here, kukuha muna ako ng paper. Ang daming paper. So, sorry if I am going to do this right, because actually, sinasabi nila, you're not learning if you're not gonna, if you don't have the ability to preach what you've learned, or parang to make it vocal of your learning, to make it vocal, or to, what we call that, parang, explain to them what you learn. So, yeah, that's one way of telling that you're learning if you're able to elaborate what your learning are. So, ayan na. I don't use this one, sayang. I need scratches. San ba? Okay. Bakit wala akong scratch? Ang dugyot mo. Sige, I will be using this one for you guys. And, okay na yan. Okay. So, in explaining this one, sana yan. Okay. Okay, the left. Hanap ako ng cameraman. The left side, limit. Okay, we have limit of x approaches 1 from the left side of 1 over x minus 1 is equal to negative infinity. So how? The question is, how can you tell me the answer is negative 1? So by simply analyzing, diba? Since if this is the graph, for example, this is not actually the graph, right? And diba, for example, this is the graph. And this is the no. There is a 1 here. 1. Okay, ito i-determine is ang limit ani nga side. Ani na certain na point where the graph occurs. So, 'di ba, ang left side is it approaches 1 from the left side here. So, meaning this values here. Right? And this values here is actually 'di ba? When you look at the number line, this is the 1, this is 0, and ang katunga nila is 0.5, and sa pagyod, the 3/4 for this is 0.75, and so on. But we're choosing only the kanang closer and closer yun, right? That's the portion ng limit, closer and closer. So we're gonna minus, okay, minus 1 minus, I think, 0.9, 0.1, I mean 1 minus 0.1 here. Kasi ito yung i-determine lang natin, yung pinaka iliit na portion talaga, and it's equal to 0.9, and we're minusing it sa pinaka duol pag yun niya, and that's equal to 0.99, and pinaka duol pag yun, because we try to approach 1, 0.001, wala naman na nagtungod ako ang equals 0.999. Okay, so this, using these values pala, we're gonna put we're gonna evaluate this one. So this is, we're using this as our x values, and this is 0.9, 0.99, 0.999, and we're determining the y-axis here. So calculator, where is my calculator? My god, here. Okay, this calculator is Gates, and it's actually 280 pesos in Novo. It's not highly recommended, right? But okay na siya. Okay naman yung mga function niya. But we're not talking calculator here. We're talking in how to determine this. So we're gonna plug in our x values, and the answer will be our y values. Okay. So, using our equation, 1 divide, divide? Okay, divide, using the quantity here, plug in 0.99, 9 lang pala, minus 1. Okay, we have the answer of negative 10. We have the answer of negative 10, and for the other one, so if you're, questioning me, right, it is how I plug it out. So for example, here in 0.99, we have y is equal to 1 over 0.99 minus 1. Ayan, and it's equal to, okay, we're gonna edit na natin yung 99 dito. Ay, bakit divide minus 1? Bakit ka ganun, teacher? So it is negative 100. Padayon naman tayo. Plug in din tayo ng much closer and closer dito. 4 na 9. Ayan. So, try natin. 3 9 will do. And negative 1,000. And last one. 4 na 9. Minus 1. And it's okay, negative 10,000. So, as you can see the trend, diba, as x approaches closer and closer to 1, ang iyahang y values is increasing rapidly to negative infinity, diba? Hindi natin alam yan, negative infinity. So our answer will be negative infinity, and it's also the same process for the right side. Okay, ilalagay ko lang din sa inyo dito. For the limit of x approaches 1 from the right side of the equation, 1 over x minus 1 is equal to, the answer natin kina is infinity or positive infinity. Didn't need to put positive there, because if it is without sign, it is already accepted that it is a positive infinity. So yung gagawin natin ay the same process din, but since we're approaching, right, okay, itong number line natin, nasan number line natin? Here. Because we are approaching from the right side of the equation to our x value of 1. So, ano ba yung mga value na nandito? So, kung dito sa number line, ang value natin na nandito is, it's 1.1. Dapat, as approaches naman, 1.01, 1.001, 1.0001. Yun yung mga x values natin. So, tatanong ka, paano kung ikaw? We're just adding some of the x values of 1 plus 0.1, 1 plus 0.001, because we're approaching talaga here. So, the value of 1.1 is there, and the value there will be some sort of 1.000 and so on. Okay, we have here the same yung process na gagawin natin. X and Y and 1.1, 1.01, 1.001, 1.0001. Ayan. Now, plug in the same process. Plug in natin yung value na yan dito. So, we have 1. Ano ba yan? Okay po, mother. Good night. Nag-ano pa ako, nag-video tutorial. Char. Doon ako bitaw ni Nay. Okay, plugging in our 1.1 value, and we have positive 10. Okay. And just replaying all you have. -1. And it is positive 100. Yan. Ay, bakit mo dinilit? Okay, that's not good. Char. 1 divide 1.001 here. -1, and we have 1,000. 1,000, and for the last one, 1.12, pila ka to? Tatlong 0 and 1, -1, and we have 10,000. Okay, as we are really approaching 1 here from the right side, then we get positive infinity. That's why our answer is positive infinity. Okay, and the last will be the confirmation of what will be this type of discontinuity. Okay, nakita nyo na, hindi ko nasasabihin ba? Okay. Since, I have here. Since, let me point it out. Since the limit from the left side of f of x is not equal to the limit of the right side of f of x, then the limit of f of x does not exist. And additionally, because as we have seen, the limit does not exist, and it has the value of the limit is not a real root. Why is not a real root? Negative infinity is not a real number. I mean, because we don't know what is the value of this negative infinity. We don't know. Can you say value ay niya? Okay, but what we have to do is, it is very, very, very large good. But we don't know a certain, there is no absolute good na value niya. And, since ang iyang limit from the right side and left side is infinity, then we can say that the function of f of x has an infinite discontinuity at x is equal to 1. It is called infinite discontinuity. So, our answer for 133, what is the point of discontinuous? So, the point of discontinuous, and what is the type? The first point na itong na-discover gaina is that x, as a point x is equal to 0, there is a removable discontinuity. And also at the point x is equal to 1, there is an infinite discontinuity. So, with just one, we are having almost 30 minutes of discussion. But I hope you learn from this. And thank you for listening.